remember the day we discharged from hospital. That first night, it was so horrible. My husband had to call in to the hospital and say, "Can you just put me through to the ward that my wife stayed in? I just need to ask a question to the nurse," because we were so helpless, and no one prepared us for it. Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Experimental Parent with me, Jasmine. On this episode, I wanted to talk about that whole journey of becoming a new parent. It was so new to a lot of couples that they kind of just had to storm their way through the fourth trimester, right? Or the first 3 months of the baby's birth. And a lot of times their marriage, their relationship is being tested during this very difficult process of becoming new parents. There are so many different roles that they have to start taking on with the birth of their child. I actually didn't do any research other than which strollers to get. I was so absorbed actually in the whole pregnancy process, the whole signs of it. So I was just reading all the time, what milestones is my baby going through at this point? How are they developing? What develops in this stage in pregnancy? I was so obsessed with that I didn't even go into the part about what happens after the baby leaves my body. And as some of us may know, prenatal blues start kicking in around the third day after giving birth, and it peaks at about the 14th day after giving birth. So how convenient. The third day is usually the day for mothers who go through natural birth with no complications. It's the day that we get discharged from hospital. So I recall for me, I was so pampered by the nurses, in the hospital that I gave birth at. They were so sweet, and they were always, out there when I pressed the bell that they would come. "Oh, the baby is crying. I don't know why." "Oh, this one maybe hungry already. Okay, I'll bring him to feed." Okay, I think need a diaper change, need to shower. Baby always comes in very nice with the hair already combed to the side, sleeping very soundly. And all I need to do is just look across to admire my baby in that angelic state. But nobody prepared us for what happens when baby is not sleeping soundly, when baby wakes up and baby needs to baby poo-poos and pees. I didn't even know how to tell that the diaper needs a change. Do we follow the yellow indicator lights, or do I need to tap, or do I always need to? I had no idea. How often do I need to change the diaper? I was caught totally off guard. All these things were so new to me. But honestly, can you really prepare yourself for parenting? You can read all the books that are available and listen to all the stories of parents before you. But at the end of the day, doesn't it boil down to the OJT, right? You have to experience it and figure it out to some extent on your own, because every child is unique and so is every parent. So I think we should really pat ourselves on the back and applaud ourselves for the courage of going into parenting in spite of all the uncertainties that come with it. I remember the day we discharged from hospital. That first night, it was so horrible. My husband had to call in to the hospital and say, "Can you just put me through to the ward that my wife stayed in? I just need to ask a question to the nurse," because we were so helpless, and no one prepared us for it. Right, so the postnatal blues started to set in, and while I knew that it was my hormones talking, I couldn't quite control how I felt or my actions as a result of those hormones. So I was crying all the time. I was so stressed. Everything stressed me up. Me not changing the baby's diaper often enough stressed me up. The way I was swaddling my baby stressed me up. The way I was feeding my baby stressed me up. Everything stressed me up. And my poor husband there was receiving the full brunt of my stress. And I think he was really stressed too. We got to give due credit to the daddies out there whose emotional well-being may not be so properly checked in on by the community. And that's why I'm going to have a whole episode on daddies and the daddies' role in parenting and their well-being as well. So my husband was really trying his best. He called the hospital, that being one. He was always awake when I woke up together at night to change and feed the baby. And I think one of the best things that he did was validating all the ridiculous worries I had about everything that was happening. So I recall asking the most ridiculous things. I said, I'm so stressed. Everything's just crumbling down. And he's like, what are you stressed about? So that I think also was a useful tactic because he wanted me to verbalize and itemize what were the things I was stressed about. So that when I put it all into perspective and he addressed them one by one, it actually didn't feel so stressful after all. So I told him, oh, I'm so stressed because I don't know why the baby has this. The baby has neonatal acne. The milk is not coming through. So I was naming everything that I was stressed about. And of course, now on retrospect, when I look back, those factors were not really big items. But he didn't just brush them off as like, oh, come on, you're just over worrying. Oh, come on, this is not even a problem, you know. He didn't do all of that. He validated it and he said, okay, I get these are the things that you are stressed about. Let's address item one. Okay, regarding this, blah blah blah. Okay, does that make you feel better? Okay, let's go to item two, and so on. And that really helped in making me feel better, even though I was, of course, still in my postnatal blues kind of state. He allayed the tangible concerns I had, the respective concerns that I had, he addressed them one by one. So that was really helpful to me. So, daddies out there, those of you who are new to parenting and you see and you feel what your poor wife is going through already, you know, with the physical pain and recovery that is required from birth, you also need to deal with the emotional turmoil and the emotional ups and downs that happens to mummies after they give birth. So we get it. We get that you are also trying your best to help your wife. So for husbands out there who've just had a new baby and your wife is going through something similar to what I earlier shared about my own example of me worrying about a whole bunch of things and always feeling sad and anxious, these are some things that you should take note of to help make your wife feel better. One, you should be mindful that the month to about 3 months postpartum is probably the most stressful period for your wife because her hormones are out of balance and she's also recovering from the physical pain and strain of birth. So in that stage, she's more likely to be sad, anxious, impulsive, angry, and a whole bunch of other emotions that she may feel all at the same time. So first thing that you should do is to acknowledge her feelings. Don't brush them away, don't force her to suppress them. Acknowledge her feelings and validate her concerns. More often than not, in these kind of situations, logical thinking, evidence, and proving her right or wrong is not going to be very helpful because she is more emotionally charged than she is logically charged at that point in time. So if you're just going to use facts to counter it and not add the feelings element into it, she's going to still feel very upset. She's still going to feel all the things that are making her anxious. And even if those evidences support or show proof to her that those worries are unfounded, she's not very likely to entertain them as much as if you deal with the feelings at its root. So an example, if she says that I'm so upset right now, all the diaper changing is making me so stressed, you can begin by validating and saying, okay, I know diaper changing is very stressed. Do you want to tell me what about it do you feel stressed about? And when she's saying all those things, she's listing down, for example, I don't know when the diaper is full. What if I don't change him often enough? He's going to get a diaper rash and I'm going to feel guilty. I'm going to, I feel so helpless about this. I have no idea who to turn to. If he does come down with a diaper rash, who is he going to see? So she might have all these concerns just surrounding the issue of changing nappies. But what you want to do is to validate that, okay, I get that this is stressful. And second of all, encourage her to express how she feels in relation to that situation. So you can ask her by saying, do you want to tell me how this stressful thing about changing diapers is making you feel? What kind of feelings are you feeling right now? And you might think like this is counterintuitive, or you might open a can of worms because once she starts going on about her feelings, she might be bawling the next moment and things are blowing out of proportion. But actually, on the contrary, getting her to name her feelings is a way of taming her feelings. So it's called name it to tame it because there's a scientific explanation to this. When we feel an emotion, our cells in our body are being changed. Chemically, they're being changed. So our brain will continue to feel that emotion. I mean, our body will continue to feel that emotion because those cells, those neural hormones are continuing to generate the chemicals which make us feel a certain way. Now, when you name your feeling, you are actually sending a message to your brain to say, okay, I got that. I got the signal, I got the message. And your brain will then begin to slow down the regeneration of the chemicals that cause you to feel the emotion, and eventually you feel it less intense and less intense until you don't feel the emotion so strongly anymore. So it's the same case of, say, guilt and anger. When you name it, your brain actually receives that data and says, okay, she's got the message, she gets it, and it gets less intense. The other thing that you do for yourself when you're naming your emotion is that you're actually engaging the logical part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, to think through what you're feeling and articulate it. Now, the moment your logical brain is doing something proactively, it's actually regaining control over your emotional brain, which is the amygdala. And that helps to calm the person down, in this case your wife, down. It slowly helps her to regain control of her logical brain so that she can articulate what exactly those issues are and not coming from just a very emotionally charged perspective. So now that she has named the emotion and you validated the emotion and validated the concerns, you can then tell her, okay, I get that you are guilty about not changing diaper enough, especially if he's going to come up with a diaper rash. Now I actually search on the internet and it says if baby has a diaper rash, these are the things we can do, and we can go to the doctor to get this medicine. Also, what we can do is we can note down this issue so that the next time baby goes back for a review to the doctor, we can take this and ask him and see whether there are some medications he can prescribe for it. I also understand that you're feeling very helpless and you're tired from being the person who is always primarily caring for baby. So how about I take this timing and you take this timing to rest, and later on we will swap over, or we will get whoever else is also in the caregiving process to come in and help. So this way, the burden of changing the diaper is not entirely on you, and you won't feel so stressed about having to change it more frequently to avoid the diaper rash situation. So this is the part where you can propose solutions that is not really targeting the matter itself, but rather targeting how she is feeling in relation to the matter. Now, the last thing you should do is to tell her that you're worrying unduly, or that is unfounded. You're overthinking. It's not as bad as you imagine. Now, in that state of mind, telling her this is not going to help. It's invalidating how she feels, and it's not proposing a solution to the worries that she has. So try some of these tips and see whether it's helpful in helping you to navigate how your wife is feeling in these situations where she might have very explosive concerns about what actually is a pretty small matter during this time postpartum. I recall that month, or even actually almost 2 months after giving birth to my first child, I was very lost, and I think it was a roller coaster of emotions. It was being so in awe of all the milestones and all the amazing things that I see in this baby, but at the same time also struggling with learning how to care for this baby and how to be a mother to this baby. And of course, there was all the other worries that I constantly have about how everything now is never going to be the same again. That thought really daunted me, and I feel like, okay, without having the manual, without knowing exactly how to go about it, there's no way I can go about it with courage and figure it out and get all the answers right. So there was a small group of mommy friends whom interestingly I got very close to only after becoming a mother. And I think it was, because we were going through that phase in life. Before that, we were just like, hi, bye, like church choir friends. And I didn't think too much about the whole experience ever since they became mothers. But when I became a mom and they just showed up in my life, and it was really one of the most comforting feelings ever during that time, because they just didn't need to say much, and I didn't need to overly explain what I was going through, but they got it. And it was just a reassuring presence, just a few words letting me know that they are there if I need them, and not overly prescribing like, oh, okay, now that you're a mother, here are the 10 things you need to know. And all. No, not at all. Only when I asked them and I sought their wisdom, they were very forthcoming in sharing, and I really welcomed that. But other than that, they were just there, and they just let me know that, hey, I get it. It's a roller coaster of emotions that no one else can quite understand, but I get it. And I'm here if you need me. So come to think about it, it was really them that got me through that postnatal blues that I was going through. And when I talk about this, something just came to my mind. So Joshua Friedman, who is one of the founders of the 6 Seconds Emotional Intelligence company that I got so much of my insights about emotional intelligence from, he was doing a video, and in one of his videos, something he said really made a lot of sense. He was talking about empathy, and he said that a lot of times we want to fix things, we want to fix people, and we feel the best way to help them is to help fix their problem. So you often hear people say, don't just stand there, do something. But sometimes a better way to help them is don't do something, just stand there. So just as I have received so much help and love from this small community of friends, I feel the best way to give back to them is to help more mummies out there, new mummies, new or friends who are going to become mummies someday, and really just that community of people who feel that they might benefit from this. I think it'd be really helpful to be a listening ear, to share stories, to share my journey as a way of helping them, as a pillar of support to these people. Thanks for tuning in to the Experimental Parent. Remember, we are all in this together. So if you have a story, topic suggestion, or feedback you'd like to share, we'd love to hear from you. You can DM me on the show's Instagram, The Experimental Parent, or leave a comment here. If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to like or subscribe so you never miss out on future episodes. Your support means the world to us. So let us know, how was your experiment today?